This is Billy Newman. I'm going to walk you through the steps that we're going to do for this homework assignment. This is exactly what we did in class last night, but I thought you might need a video refresher for this. So here I am in Lightroom, and I've got my raw format images open here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to select one of these images, and I will select this one here. That's one of my son's friends acting kind of crazy, and I am going to make sure this is highlighted, and now I'm going to right click on the image, and I'll get this drop down menu to appear, and I'm going to go down to edit in, and then I'm going to go to open as smart object in Photoshop. Now you'll have to give my laptop here a minute. It's got to think about this before it can go into Photoshop. And it's going to open up directly into Photoshop. And if you notice, in the Layers panel down here, on the thumbnail, it's got that little square box in the right-hand corner. And that lets me know that this is a smart object. Now, I can double-click on this thumbnail, and my Adobe Camera Raw will open up. Now I can perform all the edits that I would have normally done in Lightroom, but now I'm doing them in Photoshop. And what's great about this is I can work in Photoshop and still keep the ability to change any of my Camera Raw adjustments. Okay, so I'm going to take this, and just for sake, I'm going to lighten it up a little bit. Maybe I'll change the color temperature some. It's actually in pretty good shape right now anyway, but I'm just going to make some changes so we can see a difference here. And you could go in here and work with these basic panels. You could do some sharpening. We can do some lens corrections if you've got that. You could do a few other things. Mainly I would suggest you stick with some of the basic adjustments. Do your heavy lifting here in your Adobe Camera Raw. Before I hit this OK button, don't forget to check down here. Make sure your image is going to be in the right color space and the bit depth that you want. I recommend Pro Photo RGB, and I also recommend 16 bits per channel. I'm going to click OK, and down here at the bottom I'm going to click OK again. It's going to prepare it, and in a second you'll see the image with my raw adjustments. Okay, so now I've got the image opened up into regular Photoshop. Now we're going to make an adjustment layer. I'm going to go over to my adjustment panel up here. I'm going to make sure that's open and available. I've got a whole bunch of adjustments here. The ones that we did in class, the one that we used in class was the curves adjustments. And this is the one I would recommend you do, but feel free to play around with any of these others. So I'm going to go to the curve adjustments, and I'm going to click on that. Now notice what's automatically happened. Automatically, my Properties panel has opened up, and it's showing me the curve adjustment panel and how I can change that. It's also created this new layer here. This is called an adjustment layer. So I'm going to make some adjustments here. I'm going to darken it up a little bit. Now, I don't have to click OK or anything. It's automatically done. But I don't want to darken all of the image. I just want to darken some parts of it. So I've got a mask down here. Right now it's white. So everything, 100% of my adjustment is showing through on the image. I'm going to make sure this is highlighted. It's got the little white corners around the mask showing me it's highlighted. If I'd clicked over here, that's not highlighted. I want to make sure that mask is highlighted. Now I'm going to go to my paintbrush, and I'm going to take that back. Now I'm going to invert this so it's all black. I'm going to hit the Command I button. That turns my mask all to black. Control-I on the PC, or you could always go to Edit, Fill, and make sure your contents are set to black. So we've got this here. So the adjustments I just made on this adjustment layer are not showing through anymore because my mask is all black. I'm going to paint in portions of that adjustment. Now I need to open up my brush tool, which conveniently is open right now. If I was on something else, for example, all I need to do is hit the B key and my brush tool will open up. So now I've got this brush, and that circle represents the size of my brush. I can go up here, click the down arrow button, and I can adjust the size of my brush, and I can adjust the hardness. The harder your brush is, the more clearly defined the edges will be. You'll find in most of the time you're going to want your hardness of your brush set to 0. I'm going to leave it there for right now. Now click anywhere, make that pop-down menu disappear. And I've got my brush here. I can also use my bracket key, the open bracket key, to enlarge the brush. I'm sorry, the right-hand bracket key to enlarge it, the left bracket key to make it smaller. And I'm going to now the next thing I need to do is I need to make sure my foreground color is set to white. Down here you can see that my foreground color is black right now. I can take my mouse up to these two little arrows, which is a toggle switch, and I can toggle my foreground color to white. Now I'm ready to paint in my adjustment. So I'm going to go in here and I'm just going to add a little, I'm just going to darken a little bit around his skin, under his chin some, and around there. Maybe I might darken down that hallway a little bit. And then out here some. There, that's all I want to do. So now I've done everything that we're going to do in the assignment. Now what I'd like you to do is save this as a Photoshop file. That will keep the layers and it will also keep your smart object intact. And you'll be able to go back and do any raw edits later on if you want to. So go to File, Save As. Make sure your format is set to Photoshop. Make sure layers are checked. And make sure you embed your color profile. Select where you want to save it. Hit Save. And you're done. And you also want to maximize compatibility. And we'll talk about that later on in the course. Thank you and good luck. There are also some other videos you may want to watch that I'll have in the email here. And if you have any questions or problems, don't hesitate to call me. Thank you.